and more. Having a good time. Happy birthday, go for. Happy birthday, Unpivot. Your journey's begun. With Mark, Sue, Wyn, Giles. What a run. Question of the week and guess on the fly. Exploring Excel and Power BI.
This is Unpivot. Happy birthday.
Why is it
Showbread
so
quality,
fast?
I think.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. I got two.
So anybody watching or listening on the podcast, you need to watch the YouTube intro. There's a very sort of weird.
You have prompted it to give me really chubby cheeks. I don't care what you say.
But look at the size of my legs. They're huge.
I thought your bum looked big in that, so it did the lower half.
At least she had
They
legs.
don't look like that.
Yeah, Mark's legs were totally gone. He was legless. So yes, please go and check that out on the YouTube little video of us all dancing cartoon characters wise. I spent a whole $6 making that. Jeez.
Ooh. How much time did it take?
It was totally worth it.
Half an hour? Not too bad.
Well, can you do it again and make my legs slimmer?
I made my cheeks thinner.
Also, the prompt, right? I was trying to get all of us to do different dance moves. And every time I told it, right, person on the left, second person on the left in the white jacket, make them do a crazy dance. Every single time the AI made Sue do a crazy move. So I just left it in. It was just always Sue. I couldn't make it not make Sue do crazy dance moves. So
it's obviously been out with me.
yeah,
now,
great.
I would say in terms of Giles's comment about it giving him, was it chubby cheeks, you said? I think somebody quite rightly said on LinkedIn, it may be because on multiple episodes you've said, I'm going on the Guinness regime, I'm going on the pie regime, I've given up on this Comrades Marathon thing, I'm just eating for the next year. So I think you've trained the AI that's what you should look like.
Outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. All right, I'll take it.
I've just come back from Dublin from Data Céilí, which was just awesome, so good, and dancing, lots and lots of dancing. So it was brilliant.
Lovely. Data Céilí.
Oh, wow. Genius.
Is that sort of a SQL based thing, or is
it is
Power BI
Yeah, some Power BI, data, SQL, Azure, that type of thing. Lots of visualization. Kerry was there, Kerry Klotsky from Oz.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I was sat with Kerry from Oz, and then Ginger Grant from the US, and me, and we're just chilling out, Trinity College, Dublin. And yeah.
I did see a post from her saying she was in the county of Kerry.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Now it makes sense.
Yes.
There we go.
What's on your head, Sue?
What's on your head?
What's on your head?
So I'm getting ready. SQLBits this week.
Fancy dress.
So excited. It's neon on Friday night. But I've got a question for you three, actually.
Okay.
About SQLBits. So I love SQLBits. It's just such fun. But I've been fortunate enough to have been given the opportunity to do a training day there, which in my little world, SQLBits is pretty big. So I was going to ask each of you, if you were going to give me one piece of advice, what would you give me?
Oof.
Don't go with that neon head thing. You won't get any respect. Nobody will pay you any attention.
I was wondering who's going to give the first serious or non-serious answer. Mark went
serious or non-serious, anything works.
What do you want advice on? The talking bit, or just generally?
One thing you'd say, because I think. And I met Louise Shorten, who's one of our listeners. She was delivering, and she was saying she listens to us when she goes for a run.
Excellent.
So, hello, Louise. So I just thought it's when you talk to people, they listen and they say. So I thought other people. There was one lady that was doing her first public talk, and she nailed it. She was really good, Tori. So other people would be interested. They have their own challenges where sometimes you put yourself out there and you're like, why did I say I would do this? So what would you give as a piece of advice?
I think for me, it's
I'd
having
give a
enough.
serious piece.
Oh, go on. Do you want to go, Mark?
So my serious piece of advice is just enjoy it no matter what it is. I mean, you've done all this preparation, right? So you're
Yeah.
therefore it's not the fact that you don't know what you're talking about. It's not the fact that you're not expert enough. So just try and enjoy it as much as possible. And I think, as we've said in the previous episode, there isn't a huge amount of I think in the body a huge chemical difference between being very nervous and very excited. So just keep telling yourself you're excited, and it will all go fine. And after the end of it, you have your adrenaline high afterwards. So you just be like, yeah, just enjoy it and make the most of it. On last Wednesday, I went to a London Excel meetup group. It was somebody's first public presentation, right? And you wouldn't have known. Like people asked her questions, she gave little joke responses. It was just like she was just there talking to us. So just relax and enjoy it would be my advice.
I've heard that from a few people. That was really good by the sounds of it. And then she posted on LinkedIn a really humble post, which obviously I'm really in tune with. And she just said maybe I should crawl back into the shadows now. And I was like, no, don't do it. Like, keep going.
Push yourself.
So there you go, Sue. Relax and enjoy it. And it doesn't matter if you mess up. It's SQLBits. There'll be another SQLBits.
I always like it when people mess up, because then you see how they fix it.
That is just weird. No, I don't like that. No.
Yeah, stuff going wrong. It's good.
Yeah.
Also, just have enough content.
Yeah.
That's potentially more than enough.
Yeah,
but be prepared not to try to jam it all in.
Yeah.
Go slow and steady at the audience's pace. I just did a presentation at a conference, half-day masterclass, and I had way too much. I just didn't know how quickly we'd get through it, because there's 85 people attending, and it was just not sure where we're going to go with this. And I just had way too much, so I just sort of really focused on the stuff that was most relevant, and all my backup content didn't even get touched. So
yeah, I've got lots of stretch and challenge stuff. I've got 86.
Cool. Yeah, but it'll go way slower than you think it will, or at least it probably should.
Yeah,
because you don't want to force it.
Have you timed any of it?
Yeah.
You're quite
timing it on your own.
Yeah, I've timed it. I've had 2 run-throughs with friends. Yeah, 2 run-throughs with different groups as well.
Cool.
I don't have anything new to add to what we talked about before. I think ages ago, which was that you and I are quite heavy preppers for presentations. You just kind of really rehearse what you're going to do.
Do you know what Giles said to me after he saw me present the first time? Am I allowed to say?
Nice, wasn't it?
I think you may have said.
I'm sure you've mentioned it before. It was something complimentary, wasn't it?
You're quite good, or something like that.
You went. I actually quite enjoyed that.
It was Python, and I was a bit like, oh god, here we go.
So how did the should we introduce ourselves? We're 1 year in. I think we can skip it for today.
Yeah.
If you don't know who we are, go back to episode 1. Same people.
Yeah. Year older.
So
year wiser.
Sue, how did the ultra go?
Have I not seen you since then?
Did we talk about it last time?
Ken was on it last time, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. No. Oh, it was awesome. It was brilliant. Just over 6 hours. It was pouring with rain, torrential rain, but that sort of bonds you together, and it's a bit out of your comfort zone. But I always think it makes you stronger, and it's fun. I loved it, and it's improved my marathon predictive time, so that was good. So no, I really, really enjoyed it, and Dartmoor's beautiful. So I've got quite a few things booked in. And it was really good. And
any other news from you, Sue, or from anybody else?
I've got news.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
he's gone. He's up the podcast. He's left.
Yeah. I'm cheating now. I can't be bothered to run far, so I bought a weighted vest. I've got my new weighted vest. I can put up to 25 kilos in this. I think I've got about 15 at the moment. So now I just run like 3 or 4K. I'm absolutely knackered by the end of it. So yeah, it makes me look like a policeman as well.
Yeah.
I think that suits your ability to run and track criminals, like you did with the guy
Hey.
that stole the bike.
Yeah.
I think that's a new look. Makes you
There
look
you go.
quite
Pretty
buff.
cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
Quite
quite buff.
You're not bothered about, or you're not too bothered about having knees when you're 50 then, Giles?
I'll get new ones. It's fine.
So have you used it?
Yeah, quite a lot. So I've used it on most of my short runs, but I quite like it because my dog's slowing down a bit, so it slows me down with her.
Yeah.
And I 4 or 5K max, and I'm
Nice.
absolutely knackered. But yeah, my knees probably will be shot within 2 years. So there you go.
You're doing it nice, and that's the way to do it. Really nice and slow and steady, where you're enjoying it. I think that's the thing. Enjoy it.
Yes, there you go. That's my news.
I've got a brief quiz for you, and from people playing at home. So at this conference that I attended, it was a CPA accountants conference. So I just set the scene at the start, ask a few questions, find out where they're at with their Excel skill level. So I want percentage answers, okay, from you guys.
Percentage.
How many hours a day? So percentage-wise, out of the audience, what percentage of the audience? When I said, how many people spend 5 or more hours a day on Excel?
And this is a CPA audience, right?
This is a CPA, chartered certified practicing accountant.
A day.
Certified public accountant.
A day.
95%.
60.
Any other guesses?
I would say 40%.
40. Giles?
60%.
78.
Ah.
Right, 1 more hours a day. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you rate yourself out of 10 in Excel?
So I got an insight into this from Slack, didn't I?
Actually,
So I will hold back.
I would say, judging by people, I would say they would say about 9.
7.
Okay. 7, Mark. It's always 7, and it's 7 again.
It's always 7.
Enfold says it's always 7, and apparently it is 7. So 7.
Yeah, but you had some shocking results within that. Didn't you?
Quite a few 10s. Quite a few people went 10.
5% of people put 10 out of 10.
Yeah, quite a few 9s, quite a few 10s.
That's mad.
Okay, which then leads to the next question. Do you know what a spill error is?
Yeah.
What percentage?
That was my question to ask.
Of all these
Yeah.
people who are 10 out of 10?
Yes, I do.
So it's when you have a dynamic array, isn't it? And it goes over. Yeah. See, I don't use Excel. See, this is what I learned from being with you three.
So I'm going to guess that because you had quite high ratings, I'm going to guess this is going to be ridiculously low, just to prove.
So what percentage of people know what a spill error is?
20%.
Oh, sorry. Totally. Yeah, sorry. You do it that way around. Yeah.
20%.
30%.
15.
Mark's correct. 30%.
Oh, that's good.
70% of those people who rate themselves 7 out of 10 have no idea what a spill error is. And what percentage are using XLOOKUP?
20%.
Yeah, 20%.
30.
33, Sue. Well done. 33. And then Power Query, what percentage said they'd never heard of it or never used it?
20%.
75.
The other, 80%.
So haven't used it or haven't heard of it?
Sorry, haven't. Well, there were two questions. I combined them. So haven't heard of it or haven't used it. And the answer was 41%.
Oh, shocking.
Of chartered accountants who are spending 5 hours plus per day on Excel, and they never. Yeah.
Any business owner that asks me what's the one thing I would do, I always say to them, Power Query. Before you go the data stuff and everything like that, any small business or business where you're using Excel, if your staff don't know Power Query, you are you're missing a competitive advantage in such a way.
Now, is there a correlation between people spending more than 5 hours a day and those not using Power Query. Because let's
You've
face
got to
it,
look at that.
yeah, I'm spending more than 5 hours a day. As soon as you use Power Query, you might be down to 2, right?
You went muted there, Wyn. You seem to
Oh, sorry. I'm
there
I was
you go.
just appreciating Mark's comment.
And also, if you haven't done that, now have the best email to go back to them going like, hey, I can save you 4 hours a day. Let's chat.
Jeez. So there we go. There's a few stats.
Nuts, isn't it?
It is nuts. And you see all this sort of, flouting the powers of AI and everything else. And it's just basics.
You're not got into Power Query yet. That's where you tend to say AI is fabulous for data if your data's clean. or maybe, there's different ways you can clear it up. But
Can I just bring up a bugbear of mine? Because in terms of AI, and it relates to the Power Query piece, is that the number of times I see the term automation and AI together as if they are one thing. It's kind of, I'm an automation and AI specialist. It's like, that's fine. And it's always, we've got this conference about automation and AI, as if the only way to perform automation was with AI. And therefore it almost assumes that AI is the way to achieve automation. And it can be, right? It can be a way to achieve automation, but it can also be a way of not achieving it. So I just have this bugbear about when you see titles like, come to my 1 hour webinar about automation and AI and Excel. It's like they're two
different
related things. There's a Venn diagram, there's a crossover, but they're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Correlation and causation, isn't it?
Yeah.
I got some hot gossip from the Excel World Championships, if you want it, related to AI.
Yeah.
There is hot debate going on amongst the community because AI is, if you kind of know what you're doing a little bit, it's reaching the point where it can solve huge amounts of cases like that if you set it up right. So it's an interesting crossroads, I think, for the whole competition, where it's like, do you allow unlimited AI use? Because you're then getting into a world where the technical still isn't Excel. It's just, can you prompt it quickly? And I think that something will have to shift with the way that the competition works, because otherwise you will just have people solving things in 5 minutes. 99% of the player base is on the side of no, you've got to limit it or just exclude it. And then you have the odd voice that's like, no, it should be a prompt competition because that's where all the money in the future is. But I think I strongly disagree with that.
It's funny. I had a conversation with someone about that, and it was in the pub, so it might not have got it quite right. But we were talking about data science and that you can use AI to generate some of the experiments for you. And the conversation was, but that's what lots of data scientists like doing. They like carrying out experiments and training models and working out the way what is best. And so it can then take away the fun of doing that job, which you have to study really, it's hugely technical. So it was sort of related to your competition, because if you haven't got that competition, it can do it for you, then it becomes a bit dull.
Well, it does, but I think I would probably separate out competition world to work world. Like, if you can use AI to make your work easier or better or more efficient, I'm 100% on board with that. But we would talk about it as a player group as like chess or something. Like, there's still huge value and fun in traditional AI supported chess versus is it really a skill if you've just got an AI, a computer that's giving you the right moves? For me, that just ruins it.
Well, I remember I can't remember when it was. It's probably back in the 90s. Was it Gary Kasparov versus Big Blue or something? Is that right?
Yeah.
That's reaching into the recesses of my memory. And it was like human versus computer for chess.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they could do they could do almost a spin-off of this, as in, like, there's an additional round of, can you beat an AI? And it almost becomes like a separate feature of can somebody beat an AI at performing these tasks?
Yeah, I think that maybe would be the only way you could have it as a viable thing, like if it's a bit of a spin-off. But to be honest, the answer's probably no. Even if your name's Dim Early, the answer's probably no, where AI is now. So what's the fun? It's just that.
Presumably that because I listened to at the weekend, I listened to so Dim Early and Jack Kennedy and Eric
Elliot Patterson and Harry
Patterson, from Twilight or something.
Yeah,
Elliot Patterson, who is not a famous movie person. But so I listened to their podcast, and they were talking about different challenges. And in all honesty, I had no idea what most of these challenges were. But there are ones that sounded reasonably graphic, and therefore the AI might actually struggle to understand what some of those things are. So there may be questions where the AI actually can't really comprehend because the question isn't a straightforward logic-based thing. So whether it's tweaking the questions in a different way, I don't know.
So maybe, but that's been the surprising development in the last, I would say, month, where a few players have tested it out in ways where you would assume it's too vague to solve, and actually it's pretty much always solved them almost 100%. Wow. So that's been quite a shock for everyone to go like, oh, hang on, we thought we were 2 years away from this, but we're not. It's here now. So yeah, interesting development.
Very cool. Any other news? I got a little bit of Power BI news, but otherwise,
can I share two bits of news? One, kind of a tech piece of news, and one more of a personal bit of news. The first one. So the other day, has anyone tried Clip? I think it's Clipchamp.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you will have. Oh, there's me thinking. I
haven't. Good. Only Wyn.
So for videos, so I used to, in terms of like getting like transcripts, I used to use Descript. So you can pay for Descript and it will get you transcripts and things of your videos. There's now something called Clipchamp, which is all based on your Office 365 license. And then you can upload your video and it gets you your closed captions and transcripts and stuff without any other service. I mean, it does other stuff. It's primarily for editing video, quite light video editing, short form. But it also gives you transcripts, timed transcripts, and other things all within your existing license.
The way you're saying Clipchamp, just because I've known about that for about 2 years now, makes me think of my dad talking about Facebook. There's a thing called Facebook. Have you heard of it?
Do you know what I use for my transcripts? A very clever Australian man, or who lives in Australia, gave me access to his.
That was the end of the sentence. I use a very clever Australian man.
Gave me access to his GPT for transcripts and stuff. So because I do my weekly meetup, I just and it uses Stream. So I download the transcript from the Stream and put it through Wyn's chat GPT thing, and it gives me everything that I need through there. So
it's not time subtitles though, is it? Or is it?
Yeah, it would give me timings. It would say give me all the time
No,
points.
but not subtitles. As somebody's talking, it doesn't put the word. Like, it'll give you chapters, right, of where things fall, but it
doesn't extract
the
speech. No, that's reliant on YouTube extracting the speech. Yeah, but Clipchamp will take the speech out. Yeah.
Yes, and then my second piece of news, which is where Giles and I will be on Thursday night.
Hey, yes, we will.
So now, all I can say now, I didn't want to go down the competition route again after the whole, super easiest data validation list in the world gate. I thought, I'm not going to go down that road again. But unfortunately, me and Giles have been thrown into this, I think is fair to say. So in the Digital Finance Function Awards, we have both been nominated for Social Media of the Year, which, let's face it, there is no way that I should win that. In comparison to Giles, right? With his, there's no way I've got a chance at that, because if I win, that's a travesty, because I'm happy if somebody else wins. But, of the other nominees, that's fine. But between me and Giles, it should definitely be Giles. Then the other one is Resource of the Year. and you look at the people who are also nominated for that, and you're like, well,
It's like
you know.
you, me, Layla, Emma Chirpor, isn't it? You're like, oh Christ.
And also Chris Dutton.
Oh, Maven Analytics, yeah.
Yeah.
So you were singing his praises.
They're great.
So
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, so me and Giles will both be there, humbly clapping the other people. Or at least I'll be humbly clapping the other people as they, yes, well done, man. But
So who you up against in the social media? Layla.
Like Layla, Emma Chirpor. That in both categories, we're up against stiff competition, and yeah.
Good.
You know, be good
so
night. We'll get to hang out.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
nice
good
night
luck,
out.
both of you.
Thank you.
Indeed. We'll be cheering you on.
We'll be cheering you on.
So mine's not particularly fun. It's just a Power BI update. So anybody played with visual calcs in Power BI yet?
Really, yeah.
So this is basically the idea that DAX is too hard. So you want to make formulas that just work on the visual itself, like a little matrix visual or a chart.
Yeah.
And you might want a running total of the numbers that are displayed. So rather than having to write some crazy DAX that iterates through every step and removes filters and reapplies filters, you can actually just go into the visual itself, edit the calculations or create calculations inside the visual to do simple things like running totals, percentage of sums, and any calc you want, really.
Sense. Really
And
good.
it's had some updates, so it's now got a few new parameters where you can actually specify. Let's say you want, I don't know, Wales sale, England sales as a percentage of UK, and you've got all the different countries listed. You can actually just say, refer to the England or refer to the total. It's a nice way to actually reference a specific item. It's called lookup value. So they're trying to make that stuff easier. The user interface is still pretty clunky in my view, and still needs a lot of work. But for most people's uses, it sort of opens up a simpler door to getting things done without learning lots of complicated DAX, which is good.
Oh, I think that's brilliant. I have seen it. And it's, I mean, because quite often you do sometimes end up writing DAX for a specific visual anyway, or a specific purpose. Totally. So if you can build that for the visual, and it makes it easier for people, it's brilliant. I know it's Jay on the product team. He's been really, really passionate about trying to simplify DAX for people.
I used it in real life the other day. Sort of, it was sort of like doing a percentage of a grand total type thing on lots of visuals. And rather than having all this big list of DAX measures down the side per visual for all the different combinations, I just did one essentially in visual measure and then just swapped out the things that were in that visual. But the in visual measure could just calculate the percentage, and it was just super simple. Really brilliant. Good. Copy paste.
Yeah. Lovely. Nice.
So Wyn, in terms of that, because I've tried it a while back because I thought it was something else entirely different. When it was visual counts, I thought it was going to give me a visual way of seeing the calculation chain of showing. I thought it was going to help to debug DAX, and I got excited about it, and then found out what it was and was slightly less excited. But I thought it's a useful feature, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here. So all the numbers that you're calculating on have to exist within that visual already.
Yeah.
And there's almost like a limited number of calculations that you can perform. It's kind of like pivot table calculated fields and columns, isn't it? I don't mean in terms of operation, but in terms of the kind of things that you can do. Is it broader than that?
Yeah, you can do any DAX calc you want. You could even write a really horrible, messy DAX calc inside a visual calc.
Okay.
But there's lots more simple ones as well, so that's what makes it nice.
Yeah, and then that calculation then can't be referenced by anything else, can it? They only exist in that visual. Yeah.
Which is actually a really good thing, because the filters, etc., are applying to that visual only. So it's less likely to be for someone to drag and drop a DAX thing that you've created for that into another visual, which then doesn't work. So it's almost, if you can keep it in that sandbox, then it gives that integrity. You want, sorry. Go on. I was going to say, if you want to understand the hierarchy within your DAX and what relates to whatever, tablet editor's got a fabulous thing where you can actually look at the dependencies. You can click on it and say, show me which measure these depends on, and then you can, and it'll show you the whole, it all expanded. So you're like, oh, that's nice.
Eric, oh my gosh, I've lost his surname. Svensson. He's
Oh
been
yeah,
doing a lot
yeah,
of stuff on
Eric,
LinkedIn.
yeah.
And it's really good for doing like labeling on charts and
Yeah.
hiding and showing different things on, you know, those little nuances for different charts where you don't want to write horrible complex DAX just for one chart. So yeah, it's good.
He's brilliant, isn't he? He's just, his visuals are so simple but really effective.
And then the other one was Power Query for Power BI online. So Power BI in the service. So this is this was a bugbear. I wasted 20 minutes looking for this feature, working out where the settings was, and it's just not rolled out yet across the world.
Oh, is it not?
The blog post didn't mention it. It said available in sort of June release, but it's just not available in Australia yet. But this is the ability to actually then, if you've, I'm not quite 100% sure, but you've published a model, let's say, and then rather than downloading it to edit the Power Query, and then have to re-upload it, you can actually just go in and edit and do a full Power Query interface in the browser. So it feels like you have to actually have created a model first before you can do that. That's what it seemed to sound like. Some of these blog posts, they're sort of, they're not that clear. There's a lot, they're obviously written by the people who built the feature. And when you do that, you've ever documented your own stuff, you just assume so much. You just like, and then you go back to it 4 months later and you look at the instructions and you go, what was I doing? Why were bits of missing content? So yeah.
Why did I do it that way? And then you think you shouldn't do it that way. And then 2 hours later you go, yeah, you should. I know why I did it that way now.
Documentation. No one likes it. So that was my updates. Anything else? Any other bits and pieces? Are we all good? Do we
think we're good? No, I could make stuff up if you want. If you want me to make up news.
All right. Well, let's get into question of the week then as well.
We're doing well. 35 minutes. We're about.
I know we're doing well. Okay, so
which jingles are you going to get? The old or the new?
Oh, it's the birthday, so we've got to go classic, I think.
It's the question, it's the question, it's the question of the week. It's the question, it's the question, it's the question of the week.
All right. Maybe I should go back to the original. Did anybody remember what the original one was?
Oh. No. Was that not the original?
No.
Oh.
No.
I thought that was the original because Giles said it shouldn't be question of the week.
Yeah, it should be fortnight.
It was question of the day as well at one point.
Was it really? I can't remember this.
Oh,
there's like a rap, like a hip hop version.
Is it the hip hop one? I've got question of the week
now. I can't continue the next conversation without knowing
the original. Love doing this for the year. It's been such fun.
Question of the year.
Years ago,
jazzy
at the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great.
Where is it? Acoustics.
Sue's
back. Return of the Mark. Oh, I remember that. Question of the week, hip hop. I don't think this is it. Hold on, let's go.
Unpivot. It's the question. It's the question of the week. Excel.
I don't remember that.
Excel. Not unrelated, just data curated. You won't get frustrated, because we'll keep you updated. Unpivot. Pivot.
Yeah, I don't know that. What about this one?
Oh, maybe. That was
I
it.
remember this one.
That was the one.
Was it?
It's the question. It's the question of the week.
Why did we leave this? Okay.
There you go.
Can you put that back in the mix so we don't know which one you're going to play each time?
We'll put it back on the cycle. You like Play School in the round window? Is it the square window?
Yes, it's
fantastic. Yeah.
Okay. What should and shouldn't you put on your CV when applying for a job in data, finance, whatever that our world is? If you were applying for a job, or if somebody was applying for a job with you, have there been any let's give some good advice and also some horror stories just to mix it up.
10 out of 10.
Anybody
Excel
want to kick
skills.
things off?
Can I kick off with one horror? I've got several horror stories noted down.
Okay.
And I think this is broader, not just CV, but also in an interview. Okay.
Oh, yes, interview things.
Just want to see your face on this. So one thing, and this is real. This happened to me. Somebody did this. One thing you should not do is show a demo which includes confidential data from your existing employer.
Oh.
Did you do that?
No, someone came in. It was the interview backwards and forwards. They're like, "Would you like to see a demonstration of my work?" I was like, "Yes, that sounds excellent." So they open up their laptop, they log in, and then they start showing me these dashboards using data from their existing employer. And I'm like, I'm not sure I meant to see that.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's a good one.
Don't do that.
Good.
One thing for me that is always because if you've got a whole list or a whole thing and you want reasons to chuck out, errors. If there's spelling errors, if my name, if there's errors in spelling, grammar, punctuation, etc., or an example of which is being provided, then if they can't, I was going to say, is it rude or not? If they can't be bothered to get it right for for an interview situation, then I then think, well, they're not going to get it right once they've got the job. So that's a no. Check, double check, triple check. Get someone else to check.
I'll just say the obvious one, just because we've talked around it, which is probably vaguely just saying proficient at Excel. Like nowadays, you should probably be a bit more specific about what that means. And definitely don't put, like, as I referred to once on a past episode where we do our questionnaires for Full Stack, like, don't put "I'm so good I don't need training" or anything like that. Like 10 out of 10 skills. Don't do that.
I interviewed somebody who on their CV, advanced Excel. That's what they said. Advanced Excel. I interviewed them. It came to the interview. They mentioned that they had advanced Excel skills. I was like, that's. So I thought I would quiz them a little bit further. I was like, what's the most advanced thing you can do in Excel? And they said, I can use the sum function. Great. And it just hung there as if I was waiting for more. But I can use this. And that was it. Their advanced Excel skills was I could use the sum function. She did not get the job.
Really? I always hated that, the block of text that if you ever paid like a CV writer to do this, it was like the lazy generic update where you had to use all the buzzwords, and you had to refer to yourself in the third person at one stage. Like Giles Male is a dedicated professional with excellent communication skills and wonderful team leadership, blah, blah, all that rubbish. It's a block of words that everybody puts. It's like, well, of course you're not going to say Giles Male is a very demotivating character that cannot work within a team. It meant nothing.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, nightmare to work with.
Yeah. If you sort of, it's hard. It can be really hard. You apply for lots of jobs, you get turned down a lot, and then it becomes demoralizing, and you just start pepper spraying every company in the world, right, with your CV. So there's that approach. But if you actually want a job with a company and you know that company, then tailor your CV to the job and what the job is actually asking for. We've got 2 or 3 roles at our organization, and people just do this generic covering letter of, I'm really, inspired to work at your organization, blah, blah, blah. And then they don't mention, the job is Power BI specialist or something. They don't mention the word Power BI in the opening page of their CV. There's no mention of, there's all this other stuff. And also the other sort of red flaggy thing for me is when you've got skills in absolutely bloody everything. Tableau, Spotfire, Power BI, you're Excel, you've done VBA, and you're 27 years old. Right? So it just doesn't happen. It just immediate flag, just overselling yourself, over egging it, because you're likely to be a master in them.
Yeah.
If you've done all those things, or you've touched on them, you've opened it once. Those follow-up questions. So what do you do with this? Oh yeah, I sort of opened it. I opened Oracle once and wrote, printed off the report. Oh, so you put Oracle, knowledge of Oracle systems on your CV, that sort of thing. It's just like, come on.
Followed a tutorial online, step-by-step instructions that requires no thought process at all.
Yeah. Because you're wasting your own time as well, really. I know you might be really desperate to get the job, so you want to embellish. We're guilty of embellishing, but it's got to be based in fact.
Never done that.
And you've got to be able to back it up when questioned. Otherwise, it's just so frustrating. And you can pick it out really from then their experience, and also that one of, how many is one page? How long is too long for a CV? What do you reckon? Mine
was 3 at one stage. I think I cut it back to 2.
Two max.
Max 2. Yeah, I reckon.
Quite
don't bother going back
to
15 years to stuff you did 15 years ago. It's just
God, yeah,
probably not relevant anymore. So yeah, so that's what.
I could give you. I could share the one thing that I did that worked in a positive way more than anything else from my own interviewing history and CV history, if you like, which was when I went into the world of contracting. I remember I was put up for this job that was linked to like project managing a GDPR thing. I had no experience in GDPR at all, but it was a good company, good local company, and good day rate. And I remember I did a huge amount of prep on the company. So I downloaded their financial statements, public company, and I did a whole bunch of analysis, and I produced like a 6-page report, which I had on soft copy, and I brought a hard copy into the interview. And at the end, when the guy who was like the head of finance and something else said, have you got any other questions or any other comments? I was like, well, actually, I appreciate I'm not the most skilled person in this area, but I've done a load of analysis. I've got this report that I just wanted to share with you for 5 minutes. I've pulled out a few key points that I can see over the trend over the last 3 years. Your accounts receivables kind of going the wrong way versus your accounts payable. And he was just like, oh my God. Okay. I was like, yeah, there's a soft copy as well. You can have that. I was just like, this is just a sign of the kind of level of commitment I would go into, any project. And I got the job. And then had to work out what GDPR was, figure out how to do the job.
Did you have to do the GDPR job, did you?
Yeah. Yeah, it was hard work. I was responsible for going around the whole company and working out or making them work out what data they had, because you had to report at the time on like all the data you had, soft copy or hard copy. So I was going around to like managers of teams going, by the way, within the next 3 months, you have to come back with a report of all of your data, which wasn't the most positive conversation to have with people. So yeah, that was fun.
I would say that actually before you even get to your CV stage, before you get to any of that, just be aware that your reputation is probably a bigger CV than anything else.
Yeah.
Because the number of times where, and this might happen less now that there's so much remote working, but you would apply for a role, and then when let's say you get that role and you turn up and you realize that somebody you previously worked with already worked there.
Yeah.
And then you start the little conversation with them, and they're like, oh, did you know I was doing the job? And they're like, oh yeah, they asked me if I knew you and what I thought about you before you got the job. And you're like, there we go.
Yeah.
So if you go around kind of in previous roles being trying to throw your weight around, not there's a chance that when you apply for your next role, somebody else will have who is already working there, and that might actually prevent you from, even if your CV's top notch, you might be the best person for the job, but if someone says he's terrible, he just lies on his CV, or it only takes one negative comment from somebody that already works there. And equally, I've had scenarios where I've applied for jobs and people that I do know have worked there, and they've put in a good word for me, not because I know they work there, but they've gone, oh, Mark, he's really good at this and that, and therefore, so just be aware that before you even start with your CV, there's a chance that your reputation will precede you. So if you have got any previous bad behaviors that may have impacted others, that may impact your ability to get the job.
Yeah,
good point.
And that sort of Perth's a we say it's a small town, it's 2 million people, but it's sort of like everyone knows everybody in the business community. So there's, word does get around. So if anybody's listening from Perth, they're fully aware that can happen. You've got to be careful who you insult at the traffic lights if they've cut you up. Just you could be in a meeting with them next hour. So just be aware. Yeah. Also, like social media profiles, people have their public social media profiles. If somebody's applying for a job with you, it's really, it's quite easy to Google someone and just see what pops up. And you just go, oh, okay, this is what they're posting or what they're promoting. And it just immediately just, clouds you, just like what clothes you wear or how you dress or anything else. That initial impression stuff can really be quite off-putting in a competitive market, right? So people just want to dig into it.
Can I just add on to that? If you have a name which is reasonably unique, and you're possibly the only person in the world with that name, because somebody they weren't. I didn't interview them. They got the job and everything else. But they, if you were to Google their name, the thing that came up first was a comment that they made on some public website about somebody who they went to school with when they were like 13, and it was something like somebody is a poo-poo pants or something like that. Like, it was the most childish, juvenile thing you can imagine. But they're the only person in the world with that name, and so you can see by their name and their rough location that it is them. So it's kind of like even your 13 or 14-year-old self can haunt you in terms of online things. So yeah, if you have a really unique name, just be aware that it's even tougher for you potentially.
There's also the bit about sort of when you're filling in. Well, there's covering letter as well, which again, don't make it generic. It's just pointless. Make it actually for the role. But then within the CV, you sort of try to flag some achievements in terms of what the actual outcome was as well. It always looks more impressive than just saying what you did, what the role was, just doing. Whereas if you say, I was involved in this and that sped up month-end processes by 5 hours or saved the business $10,000 or that sort of stuff, that works really well. And
on that point as well, I think if you, as an interviewer, you can very quickly spot the level of knowledge somebody has, a bit like your point with Oracle earlier, Wyn. You've got somebody that says like, I transformed the month-end process and we saved 12 million a year or something. It's very quick to then go with a couple of open questions. All right, so what did you do? And if they don't know the answer to that, they weren't really that involved. They were probably just on the team doing something. Because if you do know how to fix things like that, you can talk about it. You can talk about exactly what you did.
Yeah. And I would say to employers as well, for technical roles, you need a little assessment, or you need demos, or you need a little test or something like that. Because it's so hard to pick. People can talk a really good game sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Then you actually put we've got a little Power BI test report for potential Power BI analysts.
Yeah.
And it's surprising how experienced people with experienced CVs really struggle with some of the basics, just because they've self-taught and they've been in a very narrowly focused environment where they've been doing something for 3 or 4 years, but the same sort of report with nobody else giving them any advice. And they learned enough that they never learned any more. But then when you give them a little challenge that's a bit outside, they're really experienced, but are doing a very narrow thing. So they're not necessarily lying. They just don't realize that they don't know what they should be doing.
I found that several years ago, I worked at a local college and we ran, the Microsoft Office exams and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking quite a while ago. And everyone came in to do their Excel, all failed. And they use Excel all the time. But exactly for that, they use Excel all the time on the thing that they needed to do what they needed to do. And it just couldn't be, I'm really good at it. I use it all the time. But it's just one tiny little bit. And so, it's quite interesting.
I used to have an Excel test that I used to give to people who came for interviews. This was about a decade ago. And in the end, I had to kind of abandon my Excel test because when virtually all the candidates would get 1 out of 10, It's like it's difficult to really assess their ability when they all score 1 out of 10. And
What
also,
did you have in it?
well, it wasn't that difficult, right? It was, but in my opinion, it wasn't that difficult. But when everyone gets such low marks, like I can't really assess who's best when everyone scores 1. I mean, there was things like, so you'd have a VLOOKUP that ended up with a hash NA error, and the question was, why is there this error? And they just had to answer the question, and the question was, because it was an approximate match. I'd left it as an approximate match lookup, and exactly an approximate match lookup, and the value was before the earliest value that was in the data set, or actually the values were out of order, but the value was there. Okay, so why doesn't it work?
It went.
So because it does this binary search, it can't find the result, even though the result is there.
Yeah.
And that was, so people didn't get that. There was a whole load of other ones around, you create a pivot table that deliberately had like blank cells in there and things like that, or you would deliberately break it so that when somebody clicked refresh, it'd be like, no, that's not working. Like, well, why doesn't the pivot table work? And it was all things that people do in real life, but unfortunately people's ability to actually pass that test was very low. So I abandoned that test completely and went for can you click on a cell? How can you
you know some? Just calling that guy back. Hey. His advanced Excel skills.
But one of my other horror stories, if I can share this one. So somebody on their CV said that they, I don't think they said they're advanced, but they said that they had solid SQL skills. And I think that they thought that because this was an accounting role, therefore no one was going to pick them up on their SQL skills as being a thing. I thought everyone's just going to accept this as just being, he's got SQL skills. Okay. So then it came to he talked about this project that he'd worked on and how he'd used these SQL skills, and he was able to talk about this project in a lot of detail. I think it was somebody else's project that he'd kind of dipped in on. So eventually I said, so talk to me about your SQL skills, and tell me the kind of things that you were doing. And he was like, well, I was interrogating the database, and I go, okay, so as an example, you put select star from, and he'd be like, oh, from the name of the table, and and what else would you do? And he'd be like, select star from table. That gets you all the data. And I'm like, but what else would you do? And he's like, well, that's all I did. And then, so your SQL skills is the ability to get everything. Okay, right. That I don't. That's not. I mean, it wasn't advanced. I think it was. He was proficient at SQL or something like that. I was like, that is not even, because in all honesty, it was a role where some SQL would have been quite useful. Like that would have been a useful asset in the team. So it's something that I was interested in. But then it's kind of like, well, I don't think you have actually got SQL skills. So that was.
What I don't understand about is, and it's probably my brain, but if I'd found this like magic tool like SQL where it was select star from table, I'd be like, oh, this is nice. What else can I do with it? And then you would then go and find out more to be able to explore it.
Yeah, start playing.
If you're interested in SQL, W3 Schools, awesome.
Okay.
And is select star from table pretty much the first thing you learn?
I think it's the first line. It's probably what but although the very fact that you say select star is a massive, massive red flag straight away, because you're like, no.
Do certifications carry any weight for you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on what they are. So like we're leaning more and more into the Financial Modelling Institute. I'm actually rebuilding a lot of our financial modelling training to just align to what they do. I think FMI is good. You've got 3 levels. AFM, which is building a 3-statement model. CFM is a lot harder. MFM, God, you just have to be a real legend really, to get in the MFM category.
Are you
Absolute
saying that
legend.
because you're in that category, Giles?
Yeah, I am.
Have you
There's
got
only
your
5 people in the world who are in this category, and you're one of them.
There's 8 now in the world. Dim Early's the only person that's been accepted this year. How I got in there before Dim, I don't quite understand. But anyway,
I know
Dim's in.
Giles jokes about all this, but we've been away when he's had exams, and he will go off and study religiously to get there. So
Oh, I study very hard, but if I've got exams to do, but so just from the financial modeling world, something like AFM, it's such a nice layer up on proficient in Excel, because you can't even really pass the AFM unless you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So yes, I think it depends on the certification though.
Yeah, it's a few of our team with AFM and a couple doing CFM this year.
Great.
So
CFM's a massive step up. And I remember I was stuck at Berlin airport at close to midnight the night before, and I had 4 hours sleep by the time I took the exam. But I got through it.
I think it's really valuable, because it shows that you're passionate about developing yourself, which is one thing that businesses look for, particularly if you're in this field, because it is continually changing. But also it gives you that, about you said, do you, Mark, or but we were talking about earlier about, if you're working on one thing and you're very good at that one thing, what certification does is it gives you an insight into everything else. So your knowledge is expanding, your interest is expanding, but you're also much more valuable because you know what else you can do. So Microsoft Learn, it's just fabulous. So it's Fabric, but I've got Microsoft Learn one as well. But I really, really like Microsoft Learn. And what you can do when you use Microsoft Learn you can keep your portfolio. So anyone that's interested in you as an employee can see everything that you've taken. So it's not just certification, it's badges, assessments, and they do give you practice labs and everything to work on as well. So I'm a huge advocate for certification.
I'd also encourage people to put how they stay up to date on their CV.
Yeah,
I always ask it in the interview. It's just like, what do you do to stay up to date? And it's just like, people that really have to think about it. I'm like, okay, you're not that keen. We want people who are just total nerds about this stuff, who are really passionate about it. So if the people are like, not sure, I watched a guy in the Cube once or something, and it's just like, but if people go, I'm a SQL BI and I'm on this and I'm on that and I'm following this, that, and the other, and it's just like, okay, right, it's our sort of people. So if you're into that sort of thing, then definitely make sure you put it down if you are doing that sort of thing. It makes you stand out.
Yeah.
In terms of certifications, because most of the roles that I've interviewed for, or to have someone work with me, have predominantly been finance roles. Therefore, you care about their ability to understand financial principles and their ability to work with stakeholders. In terms of the tools, like I've had people said, I've got this certification, that certification. It's like that. It's never meant much in terms of the role that they've applied for. So I would say in a more data role, in a very financial modeling heavy role, then I think those things make sense. Often you get roles where the tools, you don't need to use them in depth necessarily. So therefore the tools end up being almost like how you apply the thing rather than being the thing itself. And so I haven't got any certifications apart. I'm an accountant, which gets you into finance roles. But in terms of technical certifications, I've not got any of those, and I don't think it's ever held me back in terms of the types of roles I've gone for in the past.
It's not going to out if you've got 2 people and they're, one's just on lots of certs and the other one's got 4 years of real life experience doing stuff. The real life experience person is going to win through, if everything on everything else equal basis. But if there's like a little bit of a tie between people, it's a good tiebreaker.
Yeah, I think that real life, if someone's been doing it though, you would hope that if they're not certified, they would have the knowledge, like you said, of self-teaching and learning and developing themselves to think of different ways that they can problem solve and fix things.
Yeah.
Someone told me what was on the Microsoft is it Excel expert certification, and they told me what the syllabus was, and I'm like, but that's not the stuff that I would want anyone to know. Well,
Yeah.
that's not true. It's not. I wouldn't want anyone to know, but it's a lot of things. It's like, well, that's almost irrelevant. I think there's no Power Query in there. There's lots of, there's lots of things about how you use Excel, but not necessarily how you structure things the right way and how you actually solve problems, which is kind of the critical thinking that you want somebody to have.
Yeah. See, we've got in the data platform, we have the DP600 and DP700, which are, quite heavily sought after certifications because the field fabric and the environment is just changing in such a way that I actually really like it because it gives you an insight into everything that's available. So and you are quite often problem solving more with all different types of data that you can pull in and how to pull it in. So it does improve what you can do with the knowledge that you gain from carrying out the certification. Because otherwise you wouldn't know it's there because it's just changed at such a phenomenal rate.
And have some sort of my final thought on this is have some demos, like non-sensitive demos.
Yes.
Mark's point. Some demos you can actually show people or link to. There are ways of setting up your own Power BI account so you can share publicly, demo dashboards, personal projects, or Excel files. You can just bring those along on your laptop to a session, or even have links to the web version on your CV of things you've built, just to show a little bit of thought and design and process.
That's why the Excel BI quizzes are great because they can show your Power Query experience, and Workout Wednesday is brilliant for visualization for Power BI. That's superb. And you're not, go on.
And it might only be Wyn who can answer this. But because the rest of us don't have huge teams that we employ or work or regularly recruit people. So in terms of, because obviously in terms of CVs, for AI, like what would be? I mean, I'm assuming that those things are now cropping up on CVs of prompting skills and other things are appearing on CVs. So what kind of things would people be looking for in that sphere? Because I don't know. So which is why it's kind of, is it the fact that you'd be looking, because I suspect people are looking for AI skills, is the fact that you just want to know that somebody can prompt something, or is it? And what balance are you then looking for, prompting versus actual skills?
Yeah, it would be, I guess, if you're more going down the sort of the data scientist space, and what's your background in there? What sort of projects have you worked on with your prior companies, and how was it implemented, and what was the outcome? And optimization stuff of, it could be transport, logistics and stuff like this, optimizing truckloads and all that type of thing. They did some machine learning models that it's the building of the models. It's not the prompting and using AI as a consumer. It's same as like we wouldn't hire somebody who was a consumer of Power BI reports. It's not the people we employ. It's the people who can build the Power BI reports. And the same thing goes to the AI. So one of the guys who's an accountant, he's now done his master's in data science, and he's well into the AI stuff, fully on board with MCPs and sort of writing all sorts of routines and things now. And so he's properly keen, and he's driving that area of our business now. So it's just in its infancy, but that side of stuff.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Anything else? Because we're pretty much on time, which is pretty amazing.
Check us out.
Oh, first, is it? Half an hour you've been together.
So we have a secret guest coming in our next podcast, which isn't going to be, we're going to have a week off. So
do we? Is it secret to all of us as well? Who's this?
Yeah, just me knows. I know.
I'm not coming, I'm afraid. I'm
Sue's away. Where are you going now, Sue? Remind us.
I'm going to Croatia.
Running a marathon.
No running amount.
Wow. Good Lord. What's wrong with you?
I'm doing some yoga and stuff and island hopping, and everywhere we're staying, so it's sort of island hopping. Everywhere I've picked to stay, it's got nice treks around the islands and things. So really looking forward to it.
Very cool. But yes, we'll try and replace you. Can never replace you, Sue. But I reckon a few of you are going to be quite impressed about who
Guys,
we've got.
I do know.
When are you going to tell us?
Who knows? Oh,
Does Mark know?
Giles will be even more
Mark, do you
jealous
know?
now.
Mark, do you know?
I can neither confirm nor deny if I know.
You know. Why am I the only person that doesn't know? Who is it?
Mark hasn't confirmed or denied that he knows.
Hasn't said
He
anything.
I
knows.
can neither confirm nor deny if I know.
That means he knows.
So,
I can't
Outrageous. Who
can't
is it?
confirm or deny that, Giles.
I only know because
yeah.
I'm not going to be here. I only know because I'm not going to be here.
What if I don't like him?
Well, we shall see. That'll be
Oh,
more.
Term
this-
of my
this makes
running
me-
car.
This,
You're gonna
this
have to
makes me
suck
more
it up.
nervous than anything else we've done in a year. I'm just going to pop up and somebody will be there.
Good for
Oh.
the ratings.
Do you know
If you
who
don't
I
get on
really
with
wish it was? I really wish it was Miles now.
It's one of those people who creates cheat sheets on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Special guest.
You'll do that to me one day, and I won't be able to hide my contempt.
So lovely. All right, folks.
Cool.
Nice place to
All right.
stop. And we will
Wish
speak
me
to
luck for
everybody.
SQLBits. Wish me luck.
Good
Yeah,
luck.
hope
You'll
well,
be
don't
fine.
worry.
Just be yourself.
Yeah,
You'll smash
That'd be
it.
great.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, folks.
Exciting. Have a
Have fun,
good
everybody.
week.
Bye.
Catch you
Bye.
next time.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
We're 1 year in, so it's time for a jingle. A birthday song that could be a hit single. 1 year of magic, of data delight. Is there a limit to the helpful insight? Features we love, features we hate. Giles can be humble, Wyn can be late. Sue goes grizzly.
Where's Mark's number plate?
Deb, Shandy, Rick, Oz, and John, Ken, Christian, Dim, Early, LeBron, cheat sheets and AI, shirt counts and more.